This is the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast, and I'm your host, Marsha Ogden. It's lovely to have you here. This podcast is definitely for you if, like me, you're over 50, but again, like me, you're not done yet. Once a week, we'll have a chat about topics that are dear to our hearts as we hurtle towards things like retirement, empty nesting, staying healthy, downsizing. Oh, the list goes on. But all the vocabulary and references will be stuff that we relate to. It'll be a mix of education, inspiration and humour with a dollop of seriousness. Sometimes I'll have guests, sometimes I'll offer freebies or offers, and sometimes you'll just have to put up with little old moi. Here's a word from our sponsor. The Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus is very happy to be sponsored by Organic Secrets UK Limited, with a mission to spread the word about natural relief from mental and physical conditions that stop us living our best life. Organic Secrets is an online supplier of high-quality CBD and supplements. Hop over to www.organicsecrets.co.uk right after this podcast. There's also a link in the show notes. Hello and welcome to episode 57 of the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast. Continuing a la Sesame Street, this week's episode is brought to you by the letter C for choices. I chose choices, and it's a big topic, because one thing that we are all very aware of, and at the risk of sounding like our parents, kids and young adults these days do have far more choices, far more opportunity at their fingertips than we did. Although a lot of us may have sorted ourselves out by now at our age, I'm not one of them, I don't think. Growing up in the 60s and 70s offered us just a few choices when we left school. We very often went down career paths advised by careers officers who scarcely knew us, or we toed the line and did what was expected of us. Now, as we are the last living generation to have grown up with such limited choice available, I wondered how that compares to growing up in a world where anything is possible, as it is today. Why is anything possible? Well, we all know, because of the internet, of course. In our day, or the olden days, as my grandchildren like to say, we had to find out our information from connections within and around our circle of family and friends, from the school careers office, from the library, or from one of the 3 TV channels or the radio. But not only does the internet make it easier to find out what's out there and how to achieve it, it's exposed us all to the idea that our mind, our state of mind, controls what happens to us. Our destiny is down to us, not our background, our education, our family, a lack of riches when we were younger. You have the ultimate control. But that's how it was. And you can't change the past. It's gone. But you can change how you remember it, how you reflect on it, and what you learn from it. So my thinking is now, in fact, it's the raison d'etre or the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus. Unless we choose to be, at our age, we are still not done yet. We could have another 30 or 40 years. So let's do our best to take advantage of the new opportunities, the new life choices that are available to us. So that got me thinking. I thought, I wonder what it's like not knowing any other life than one that's full of technology. My own daughters are in their late 30s now, so they're in that generation for whom technology was there, but it was pre-smartphones when they were growing up. I thought it would be interesting to speak to someone who grew up completely in the world of technology and is now out in the jobs world. So, I've met online. That sounds dodgy, doesn't it? But it's not. I met online a young lady. That sounds so old-fashioned. How else do you say it? She's in her mid-20s, forging out her career, and she has a very successful persona online on social media. So we had a chat, and to be honest, our conversation took two distinct avenues. Being online and all that signifies, like exposure to criticism, online safety, etc. And the difference between our life choices and those at the fingertips of a 20-something today. I'm going to save the online stuff for another episode because it is something that we need to consider. But for this episode, I want to concentrate on choices. So, in a moment, I'm going to introduce you to Athina Crilley. She's 24. She's a nutrition and fitness coach, making her own way in life on her own terms. And as I mentioned, she's also creating a very successful social media presence. Now, considering we were trying to focus on the changes brought about by technology, in the 57 episodes that I've done, I think this was possibly the most problematic interview to date. We had signal problems, I had computer problems, memory problems, technology in general problems. So in the sound quality, there are a few little glitches. I thought I'd just mention them before you do. Here's Athina. My guest on this week's Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is Athina Crilley, who is nowhere near our age group. More of that in a moment. She's from Blackpool, which is very near me in the UK. She's a fellow Northerner. Yay! But, she lives in London now. I don't know why that's a but. So, welcome, Athina.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Tell us again how old you are.
I'm 24.
24. So halfway to being in our club anyway. So I wanted to talk to Athina because during the coronavirus, and now I think we're on something like God knows what, 14, 15 when we record this. During coronavirus, my age group, 50 and above, have found the internet a complete blessing. If we didn't already know, we have had to learn how to Zoom, how to do FaceTime, just to see our family and friends or to order shopping or, and you do learn it a lot quicker if you've got a vested interest in why you're learning it. You've got a reason for it. But you are from a generation that is totally brought up with technology as a part of life growing up. But from the flip side, when you've got all that information and you've got all these choices and everyone knows you've got all these choices and the ability to do really well, I suppose the pressure is really on for you to make your mark. So it's equally distressing from that side as well as from the not having the information, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you can't really win. You can't win because, like you said, it's either you have a limited amount of choices or you have way too many choices. And I honestly don't know which is better, really. I think it's obviously amazing that my generation has so many more opportunities, whether that's, in terms of traveling or career or whatever it is, meeting new people. But at the same time, it's very easy in my generation to feel overwhelmed because there's so many things that you can do. And sometimes, depending on what kind of person you are, you want to do all of them. And there's only so many hours in the day and there's only so many resources. And you do feel a bit overwhelmed, like, what should I actually be doing? Again, like that, I guess that kind of moves towards the fact that my generation has so much access to social media and other people in the world. It's very easy to then get kind of sucked into that and start comparing your life to theirs and thinking about what you could have, but what you don't have.
Yeah. So just talking about how much of life is dependent on technology and the internet now. Like you say, you can get bogged down by thinking my life's not good enough because, like you say, you want to see the best bits online. Do you think it's easy for people your age and particularly younger to choose what is good information and what isn't? And do you think they grow up realizing that you shouldn't believe everything you see online?
That's a tough one, because I think there is a much higher level of awareness in the modern day, because we are kind of forced to grow up a bit faster, because we have to take on all of these, all this technology, all this responsibility. But at the same time, for that reason, I think it is harder to decide what is, quote unquote, right and wrong, or what we should believe. And especially now when everything is so, like, it's like these celebrities that will promote these fat loss pills or something ridiculous, and they're doing it because they're getting paid a lot of money for it. But as a young teenager, you might see that and think, oh, well, that worked for them, so it'll work for me.
Of course, yeah.
It's that really the reason they're doing it is because they're being paid a lot of dollar for it, and not because they use it themselves. But as a young teenager, you probably can't decipher what is true and what isn't.
I just hope that everybody knows there is an on-off button and you can walk away if it all gets overwhelming.
Yeah, what, from social media?
From social media or games, when you get bullied into doing things and what have you.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, though, it's easy to say you can just walk away, but
yeah, it's addictive, isn't it?
Not walk away from social media or technology. Like, it's literally part of life. Like, it's like on New Year's Eve, my phone got stolen, and I didn't have a phone for about 3 days, and it felt like torture. I felt like I was being tortured without having my phone.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time, this is crazy how dependent I am on my phone, but that is just the way my generation is, and probably every generation below me is going to be the same.
Yeah. Well, I must say we're the same now. Like your diary's on there and everything, isn't it? It is a bit scary, but it's all to do with. I think everything in life is a choice, but some things are addictive, and they are very hard to walk away from, aren't they?
Yeah, and especially when you can use your phone for everything, like you said, your diary, making notes, ringing people, texting people, social media, Googling something. Like, you can use your phone for anything and everything, and that makes it so much harder to distance yourself from it.
Yeah. And everyone else is doing it as well, aren't they? You think, if I don't do it, I'm losing out. I'm not one of the crowd, kind of thing. But it is possible to become a celebrity on there, isn't it? Whereas, like on YouTube, on any social media.
Easily.
See, that wasn't even in my mindset growing up, or anyone my age, sort of thing, because you had to sort of have exceptional talent to get on TV or radio, or you had to write a book and you couldn't self-publish it. You had to have a literary agent and all this lot. And just knowing that the possibility is there it's just amazing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like we go, like what we said before, there's so many options and so many avenues that you can go down. I mean, some of these YouTubers are literally like millionaires just from YouTube, purely from making videos on YouTube. And it's kind of crazy to think that there are people that are millionaires from social media or things that weren't even around 20 years ago. And it's crazy.
Exactly.
To think that.
Choices, like you say, but you've got to go all in, or have some special niche or whatever, because I know I've been talking to people, well, like I say, since coronavirus, when we've all upped our skills online with regard to knowing what's there. And it does help my podcast, though, because I've got more listeners since coronavirus, because we all know what a podcast is.
I love that. Yeah, it's giving you a boost.
Yeah. Well, that's right, and it's just knowing that it's possible to achieve whatever you want to achieve. It doesn't have to be that you want to achieve something online and an unfulfilled ambition that being online could grant to you. It's knowing that you can use the internet to learn whatever it is, or to learn how to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all learning and going to use the next 30, 40 years to promote is, we're not old. We might look old, but we're all still 16 inside. And we've still got time to use this new technology and the new opportunities and the new choices. So, it's just, we're coming at it from a different angle to you who's grown up with it. And I mean, you won't even know a life where we didn't have phones, will you?
No, I think I got my first phone when I was maybe like 12. So
yeah.
I mean, I obviously have grown up around having computers and phones around, but I think even the generations below me, they're getting phones at the age of like 6 or
I know,
7, really, really young, and you see these little toddlers with iPads and stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's even. I thought I was young when I got a phone at 12, and now it's like 3 and 4-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, my kids are in the 30s and they got phones sort of when they were teenagers, 13, 14-ish, because I know when they started going out, I was able to phone them. And I remember thinking, oh, well, they hated it. But I thought, what a brilliant thing. I can text them in the middle of the night and say, why are you not home? Which my parents couldn't do. When I was out. But like you say, they're so much younger now. And they all seem to be born with the knowledge of how to swipe and how to swipe left and right.
Oh, God, yeah.
and how to, tap on things. They just know how to do it.
Inbuilt skill.
So bearing in mind all this opportunity and choice that is around then, do you feel like you are on track to be where you want to be?
I mean, this is actually kind of what my podcast is about. And my first episode is basically about this kind of question. And I remember thinking as a teenager, right, when I'm 25, I'm probably going to be married, I'm going to have a house, I'm going to have a kid, I'm going to have a dog, like all of these wonderful things you set yourself. And here I am at 24, I'm newly single, I live in a rented place in London, I have no kids, I'm not married, I don't have a house, I don't have a dog, and I'm definitely not where I thought I would be 10 years ago. But at the same time, I am slowly learning that it's okay to go with the flow a bit more, and you don't have to plan out every single aspect of your life, because other things, you can't control what other people do, you can't control what's going to happen, and I think it's important to just go with the flow a little bit.
Exactly. It's all about how you react to what's happening around you, isn't it? You can't let events and other people's actions drag you down or stop you from being where you want to be. You have got to adapt and just alter the way you think about things. The world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, for sure. It would help so much if everyone had that kind of mindset. But it's very difficult because, especially in today's day and age, I mean, you're kind of told at high school that you need to know exactly what you want to do because you need to go to university and that's the career that you're going to have for the rest of your life. So it's kind of drilled into us that we need to make these life decisions as a teenager. And I think that makes people very pressured and stressed about where they're going to be in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the whole education thing has been an argument for years and years. There's a phrase, a saying, isn't there, about if you base a fish's intelligence on its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid because we're all different. That's the whole thing about the education system. Often it's the people who did crap at school who end up being very, very successful because that isn't where their skills were in academia. It's interesting that you say you still feel that kind of pressure at school to do well, or that's it, you're done. If you don't do your GCSE. My granddaughter got out of doing her GCSEs because of coronavirus. But
I bet she's buzzing about that.
well, I said that when it first happens. Oh, God, I bet you're having a party, aren't you? No, Nan, that's just it. I'm missing my prom. I'm missing saying goodbye to my friends.
Yeah.
Well, when I left school, they just said goodbye. There was no prom or anything. So I never even thought of that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people still do think that, if I don't get X many GCSEs, my life's over. And it just so isn't. It is interesting that, looking at you now, I think, oh my God, the world's your oyster, you've so many choices. And you thinking, well, it's a bit overwhelming. Maybe less choice would be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's all down to perspective, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what side of the coin you're on. But I mean, there's pros and cons to both. But it can definitely feel, when you're in the moment, it can definitely feel like all of the cons instead of the pros.
Well, I think that concludes all my questions, Athina. This interview has been quite problematic, hasn't it, technology-wise?
Yeah, we're talking. It's funny, we're talking about technology in its wonderful ways, and then we have this big fiasco in the middle of it.
I know, and I can't even blame the internet because I've no idea what happened there. But I just have to say thank you for being my guest today. And I hope that we can keep in touch.
Yes, of course.
I hope you found that interesting. I did. And as I said, there'll be more from Athina in a future episode. If you'd like to investigate how you might start taking advantage of the opportunities that are out there now and using them to make the rest of your life the best of your life, listen back to episode 25 of this podcast. It's called My Best Life. And you can find a link to that episode, along with a link to Athina's own podcast, Finding My Fit, in the show notes. Before I go, here's a quick reminder to enter our selection box competition. Here's how you can win. On Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, not all episodes are up there yet, but quite a lot are. Please, please, please rate, review and subscribe to the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast. Please tell your friends too. That's all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning our selection box. I'll be writing down the names of the reviewers and commenters and putting them into a hat. I'll draw a name out and that person will be the proud owner of one of the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus selection boxes. There'll be 2 chances to win. One is at the end of June, which will be next week, and one at the end of July. Good luck. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate and give us a review wherever you catch this podcast. And of course, do join us next week for another episode. The Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Organic Secrets UK Limited. All the links are in the show notes. And you can catch up on all previous episodes at www.directoryofadreamlife.com. Have an amazing week and I'll see you next time.